an extension educator in a very small community, small population-wise, I believe that we're assessing, we're evaluating, and we're measuring impact all the time throughout our community through conversations at school meetings or at sport meetings or within the grocery stores. And it's important to still collect that information and document that in a way that makes sense to us and it makes sense to our program too. We all develop these programs that we implement commonly more than one time. And so if after we deliver a program, if there's a way to enhance that program for the next time we develop it or implement the program, it's to our benefit. Program evaluation to me is absolutely part of the program planning process. Creating a program evaluation often leads to creating a very thoughtful logic model for that program, so we have those intended outcomes in the planning process. So I often look where I spend the most amount of my time within my position, either in 4-H youth development or family community health, and find programs to evaluate so I can show that I am having an impact there, because if I'm not, then I shouldn't be spending my time there. So planning with the end in mind to me means very thoughtful, concise planning at the beginning. And it keeps us on task. It keeps groups focused on what we're trying to do. And sometimes when we go down those rabbit trails and we're planning a program, we can come back to what we're really trying to evaluate or achieve and maybe keep us on task through the planning process. So as extension educators, we have the very unique opportunity to not be only developing a program evaluation, but implementing a program evaluation, maybe delivering the program as well. When I'm developing a program evaluation, there are a number of things that I typically take into consideration. First and foremost is data utilization. If I'm going to be conducting a program evaluation, there has to be a reason why I'm asking those questions or collecting that data. And so how I'll be using that for, but also who I'll be reporting to. We notice that there are administrators, our program funders, our constituents that we serve, our peers, all like data in a little bit of a different way, whether that is qualitative versus quantitative data. Typically, I feel inclined to take a mixed methods approach when evaluating programs, so I collect the information to share to both audiences. So I think there's a lot of things I take into account to make sure I get a high return rate as the evaluator on a program. As I think about the environment in which I'm going to be administrating the program evaluation, and I make sure that if we are outdoors, we have clipboards, or I allow participants to take them the day before and ask them to bring them back the next day. I make sure that they're not too long, and I also build time into the actual program and not putting evaluation as an afterthought when people are already looking to go out the door, that here, do this, is to make sure I've set aside time to do that when implementing the program evaluation. So as a program evaluator, I think we have opportunities to evaluate on multiple levels within our program. So whether that is the youth development program in general or specific smaller programs within our 4-H youth development program. And a lot of times as county educators, we focus more on those individual programs, but we do look at some larger programs to evaluate as well, depending on our terms of service and our expectations of our administrators. When I'm developing a program evaluation, I think about whether I need to have it approved to the IRB and the timeline that would take to have that done. The IRB, or the Institutional Review Board process, honestly takes an indeterminate amount of time. I have found that sometimes things are expedited and move very quickly, but other times it does take a while. So as an evaluator, we have to be thoughtful about planning out a number of months when we're creating those program evaluations that we want to have IRB approval. And lastly, I think why I value program planning and evaluation so much is the ability to share with peers. often through journal articles or professional conferences, we share what we do, but we should also be sharing the impacts of what we are doing, and so people are more inclined to have the resources and the know-how to implement a similar program to have the same intended outcomes. I just don't know why program evaluation and program planning makes me so happy. I don't know why. I think that it's just the logical point of keeping us on task, I think, and that's what makes me gravitate towards this. And so planning with the end in mind and using it to keep us on track is really important to me.